Hello and welcome to another Block Chat. I believe tonight we have episode 96, so we're closing into the 100th episode of this bi-weekly show that we started quite a while ago. Most of the times you get to learn something or to, let's say, listen to Makram, our COO, and myself discussing, everything tokenization and Blocksquare, and maybe sometimes having some guests from our ecosystem or partners we work with. Today, we have a special episode, and we have with us Julia Buchholz, who's the CMO at Blocksquare, and she is the one that kind of manages all the marketing activities that happen behind the community discussions and the community overall. And there's a lot of things that are happening, and it's great to have her finally on another Block Chat. It's been a while, I believe. Julia, how are you?
Hello, Dennis. Hello, everyone. Great to be here again. It's definitely been a while, yes.
We are obviously, as a CMO, you get a lot of calls all the time. So,
sorry.
all good. So you're currently based out of Phuket, right? But originally you're based in Australia in Perth, right? So you're switching between the two locations. How are things there?
Yeah, pretty good. It's really interesting to have like these kind of both locations. On one hand, you have the Australian market, which especially real estate property is very, very interesting in Australia, and I would say a very, very hyped topic in Australia with a lot of demand. And then you have the Thai Asian kind of influence, which is all about tourism. It's all about like different kind of problems in real estate as well, where people are looking for solutions which are completely different than the problems in real estate that Australia, for example, has. So that is what I find really interesting. And then the different scenes in blockchain, of course. And here in Southeast Asia, blockchain is really growing. The industry is really growing. And we have, in a couple of weeks, we have DevCon coming up in Bangkok. And almost everyone you talk with in the industry right now who also went to Token in Singapore is now heading to DevCon, and yeah, it's quite interesting.
I'm a bit jealous because you and Mitch, I know from our team, are going to DevCon, and I'm not. But I have a couple of friends here in Slovenia who are going as well. And it's going to be definitely an exciting event for sure. It's going to be probably really Ethereum kind of focused, but there's a whole L2, L3 ecosystem around EVM. And when I was at Dev Connect, which is a different type of, it sounds similar, but it's different, a different event. There was, I think, 10,000 people that came to Istanbul. And you could really see the power of Ethereum as an ecosystem, and it's something really amazing to experience. So when is the event, the DevCon in Bangkok?
I think it is 12 to 15, if I'm not wrong now.
All right. Okay.
Again in November. Mid-November.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to be there soon. Well, having you here on the Block Chat, I really wanted to start a discussion around something that has started a while back. We have been thinking of this, I would say, a year ago, or even before that, in our product roadmap, and finally it has reached kind of production, as we say in tech development, in June this year. I'm talking here about something we call the Launchpad. So on Oceanpoint, we have something called the Launchpad for those of our community who are not aware maybe of this. And what this Launchpad does, it makes it very, very easy for a project who wants to work with us and launch their own marketplace to actually do it. And in terms of what it achieves is it brings down the cost for a marketplace operator drastically. And how it achieves this is because it invites our community of token holders to participate in the success of a specific marketplace. So this launchpad, has now seen 6 campaigns that were successful. Some campaigns have been more successful than others. There's various metrics we are looking at when we see success or measure success for a particular project. But when we started this, Julia, back in June with the first one, Portio from Belgium, what were your impressions at the time, and what were your expectations at the time of launching, the first project? There was a lot of uncertainty how this is going to go down, and looking at the time then and now, after 3 months, basically 6 projects launched. What's your take on this?
I would say my expectations were, all right, we have 29 days to sell this, and let's see if we can fund the campaign or not. Nobody would know if our community would accept it, would they even like the idea, because obviously without community support, none of this would be possible. So it all really came down to them, and it just sold out in 36 hours, and we were done. We're like, oh, okay, what are we gonna do next? And so Portio, but also Portio was a very, very strong team. Some of the Portio team were already known in our community as well, because some have been like long-term Blocksquare users or Oceanpoint members, community members, and so there was a level of trust there. And there was definitely a level of professionalism, and you see that now as well when you look at their social media, when you look at their community marketing campaigns. They actually were doing like really nice Galaxy campaigns for the users as well to collect their brick points and all of that. So they were really made sure that they have a professional marketing team, and at the same time, we were working close together to create content for our community and through our social channels, basically.
And if you look at, Portio back then, the first campaign, we, really pushed forward as well to, push forward the Launchpad itself. And if we look at the let's say the last campaign that was successful, the Fraction X from the UK, how can you compare the two? Or any campaign in between? There have been quite a few, right? Different scopes as well when it comes to real estate assets. Bringing different types of real estate to on chain, but as well from different markets.
Yeah, let's maybe first go back to the different types of real estate, because I find that one quite interesting, or the different types of projects, basically, because what we're facing is not only different types of projects, we also face projects from different countries, which some countries are maybe more popular for real estate, others are not so, some maybe for the traditional investments feel completely out of reach. And now suddenly they're going to be made accessible for everyone, basically. So we had Portio at the beginning, which was about co-living in Europe, which is, of course, a very hot topic for for places where it's hard to find rental accommodation, where the prices are hyped as well. And co-living is a great solution, and I think a big trend where things are going to. So I think Portio, with their marketplace, there might be and especially also with all the MiCA regulations coming up, I think tokenization in Europe becomes a very clear procedure in the future as well. So then after that was Palmi. Was that the second? Yes, I think so.
Yes.
So their project was about developing the new Airbnb for the hotel industry in the African market. So something where many people are not aware of at all. But so these guys were experts basically in building a really nice beachfront hotel accommodations, and then wanted to basically make this available for the masses to own and get rewarded from that industry in there. And their marketplace is live as well by now. We had Rancho Altos, for example, in Mexico. They they are going to tokenize a tequila distillery. Very, very amazing project actually to market, because it's all about agricultural land and all these different use cases, how they are going to utilize this special location where they are, and with that all the regulation that comes in, that they're pristine for the tequila industry, basically, which most regions in the world are not allowed to actually even produce. And we were lucky that one of those traditional tequilieros, how they call them, I think, came to us and said, I would like to offer this opportunity to the market. I think that's very unique, very special. So I'm very much looking forward for them to actually launch their marketplace, hopefully soon. They successfully finished this campaign as well within a couple of days. And then we had CareBlock. So CareBlock from Care Yield, that's for the healthcare sector in the US. This one took us a little bit longer. It was a little bit of a longer process. And I think the reason for that was that we changed a couple of things in the marketing here. And it was kind of like, so that showed us really how important it is to work really close together during the Launchpad campaign with the project, because we need to have really things in place for launching.
And there's a lot of, I would say there's a lot of support that our marketing team kind of is currently giving to new projects launching. It's not like, you come, there's, evaluation process, then there's a post on the forum, and then you're on your own. You can really, as a project, you can really, really utilize our team, the connections we have, the collaborations we have, partnerships around, to really push as much as you want. It's not just coming and doing. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a block chat with every new Launchpad project, so that people can see the face of one or more people from the team. And the discussion. And I think that's something that really kind of resonates with our community. Then we offer as well, various blog posts, but as well PR. We push every project through our PR partners and channels as much as possible to get visibility out. And when you go and Google something around blockchain, real estate, Launchpad, you might get one of those campaigns being picked up in one of the top results even. So I think those things are all kind of creating added value to our kind of portfolio of marketplaces that are coming to us. And it seems that we are really kind of investing not only with the technology, but as well with everything we have into making them as successful as possible.
Yes, I just wanted to add as well that if you search, for example, for Fraction X, we did an amazing blog chat with them, and then we used that to create like a written interview, and then we did another blog with them, and then we pushed a PR campaign. So there's heaps of content, and very interesting was actually that Fraction X also created an airdrop. They actually said that we want to take it to the next step. We really, really want to award our early supporters, because these are literally our angel investors. So they, for example, came up with the creative idea to do a property token airdrop to the early fund supporters. So that is not a requirement that someone has to do in order to come on our launchpad. But it's this small things. And it literally, the day they announced, okay, we're giving we're giving you 1% of our tokenized property, basically, if you support us now. Their marketplace sold within a day. And then, and the funniest thing is that because people actually saw that there was CareBlock still open as well, so that sold as well. Literally, the airdrop sold all of the marketplace.
Okay, very interesting as an effect. So it kind of shows that it's still kind of early days as well, and but at the same time, there's creative ways of how to gamify further on the experience for our community members. We also kind of didn't mention Tokeniza as one of the Launchpad campaigns. I think there. One of the interesting parts is that they have pledged much more over the 500 SBST minimum and have pledged 10,000 SBST or 10,500, I believe, or something like that, which kind of impacts the APY on the other end for the community that kind of pledges their stake BST into that particular pool, because it gives a higher score versus the other pools. So I think that's also a strategy that's really straightforward, but a project could pledge a larger amount of collateral. It's more risky for them, but it's more rewarding for whoever is participating. So whenever you evaluate a certain marketplace pool as a community member, make sure to really see to look at also the collateral. 500 SBST is the minimum, but there might be other. I would say there might be more in that collateral.
Can I ask you something about that? Because that's a question that comes up quite often from our community. So let's say we have someone who is launching a marketplace pool with a higher collateral, like Tokeniza did, for example. And so from the beginning on, they are running on a quite high rewards percentage, right? But yes. What if now, for example, let's say a Portio is coming and is outperforming Tokeniza in terms of the KPIs and the goals set at the beginning of the campaign? Could this relation change? Like, for example, Tokeniza goes down and Portio goes up based on their real-world marketplace performing and meeting the KPIs?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking it, because we have, in the documentation, but many people don't read it, right? We have said and defined clearly that the scoring of each pool, which defines in the end the APY in a way, so how much of the rewards pool is going to each individual marketplace pool, is currently defined only by two parameters. This is, the duration of the lockup period, which for the marketplace operator, and on the other end, the amount of collateral that has been dropped in. But how this scoring is being calculated is going to evolve. We wanted to keep it really simple at the beginning because we saw that probably there's not going to be many differences between pools, but we already see that a project has played a high collateral card, which means that the scoring for other pools has dropped, or the APY for other pools has dropped because of it. So this kind of requires new projects to basically pledge a bit more in terms of collateral. So because it drives them towards that direction if they want to attract the market, especially if you foresee, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, maybe even project a month coming up, people are going to start cherry picking, right? But what we want to do is we want to start introducing other metrics in the scoring system. And those metrics might be, on one end, the KPIs you have set to achieve and kind of a percentage, towards achieving them. So, you are at 0% when you start, and let's say that you wanted to your goal was to tokenize 10 million and you have tokenized 5 million, it means you have reached 50%. That may be one type of looking at the score, or it might be simply by just looking at the hard facts. So no matter of the KPIs, we might just say, okay, how many properties have you brought on your marketplace so far? Or, how many offerings have you successfully finalized? Or how much value have you, tokenized value have you brought to the market through your marketplace? So this is going to evolve. And the governance board is the one kind of looking at how to shape this scoring system so that it makes it as fair as possible for marketplaces that are going to perform better. Now, what this means for somebody who has pledged to a specific marketplace pool is that if they are performing well, they want to keep their SBST there because the potential earnings for them are going to be increasing and increasing, right? As the marketplace does well. For a marketplace that is not achieving certain goals and KPIs, and it's not achieving any numbers or has no numbers or no metrics really, they might switch to pledging it to some other marketplace. So there is a risk involved for a marketplace operator, but they have an incentive and the tools at hand to really be able to kind of achieve and kind of keep the community of supporters from the time of a campaign until essentially potentially the whole lifetime of a marketplace project.
Yeah, and that is kind of creating the competition, right, between the Launchpad generators as well, because from the beginning on, I would say the funding is locked in for 6 months from the community to support the marketplace operators. But I think each marketplace operator goal should be to keep the community behind them and also to keep the cost low for the market operations. Exactly. And this can be achieved by creating this trust by basically going after your KPIs and your targets that you set from the beginning on.
Exactly. And I mean, here, one of the things that is really important and like to emphasize, and when we have discussions outside of Blocksquare, we say this is probably a very important part, is the forum. The forum is not there necessarily for a marketing purpose. So projects should not see the forum as somewhere where they will be, pushing out the word and then getting our community excited around their project. It's a way to directly communicate with our community and create a track record. A track record is important when it comes to creating trust. So a track record is important because after this, 6 months or 3 months or whatever the duration for the community lock is for a specific pool, there's the ability to, or there's the chance that you will be losing some of that community. And that should be something that projects are aware of, because when you lose, let's say, the support of 5 pledgers that supported you with 10,000 SBST, you need to get another, somebody else who will pledge 10,000 instead of them. And if this distrust is happening, if you have not communicated throughout, the first 6 months of your operations, you probably going to have a hard time achieving support at that moment. So communication is a key factor when it comes to investor relations. And here it's not any way different. It's the same thing. The community of BST holders is going to demand a certain standard. What the standard is going to be, we don't yet know. But I would say, as a rule of thumb, post twice per month your updates, what's going on, in the company. Treat the community of SBST pledgers that are around your project as, kind of your angel investors in a way, because they entered in a pre-seed phase when there was nothing else than the team, a deck, and a goal, right? And they support you with funding so you could build your product. And that's that's what this is. And now you need to communicate that with them, do it efficiently, effectively, structure it in a way that whenever you do a post, people know how to read through it, and they can measure your success. And if in 6 months you have nothing to show, but a lot of activity that has been done, there's a fair chance that people are going to wait another 3-6 months for you to actually achieve the goals that you've set to achieve. They're going to help you out and support you. If you're not communicating, those chances get smaller, I would say.
That's right. Yeah. I would like to add something as well here, because we talk a lot about this launchpad and it's going to be funding and what all about that. So basically, as a background, the funding is basically achieved by a commitment by our community to stake their Blocksquare tokens for a period of longer of 6 months in your marketplace pool. So why are they doing that? It's simply because Blocksquare tokenized their IP. And if you use the Blocksquare token and you stake the Blocksquare token in the Oceanpoint governance pool, then you can get a discount. First of all, for staking your Blocksquare tokens in the governance pool, you receive SBST tokens. And if for every 10,000 SBST tokens, you receive a 10% discount on all software as a service solutions that Blocksquare is offering for real estate tokenization. So you basically, by getting 100,000 SBST, you can get a 100% discount, which makes operating your marketplace from a technology perspective almost free of charge at all, right? So you only have to cover Ethereum fees and these kind of things, which are minimum compared to what normally licensing fees would be. So instead of going the traditional way where you have to go and get funding from a bank or VCs or private friends or whoever is giving you the money to get started, so you can actually develop a technology, you can come to Blocksquare, apply for the launchpad, and potentially get the technology for free. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to come on the launchpad, if you don't want this community commitment. If you are already funded and you say, I just want to subscribe for the software as a service solutions and going to get up and running, not a problem, that's absolutely fine as well, because not everyone wants to be on a launchpad as well. Like different projects have different goals and different reasons why they're doing what. But the launchpad is a really, really good way to let you launch a real estate tokenization marketplace in your region without big tech expenses, as you might know it from other platforms.
Yeah, I think what you pointed out is going to be important, because a lot of new projects that might be looking or to work with us and might be watching us today or sometime in the future, they would be wondering what's the relation and what are we raising funds for, right? You're raising support and funds, obviously. Each pool locks in 100,000 SBST. Each BST gives you around 0.265 at the moment. This conversion rate differs depending on the deposits in the main governance pool. But that means that currently acquiring the full license yourself, it means you need to purchase around 370,000 BST. It means that this is the amount currently being kind of raised underlying with each marketplace pool campaign. And this amount of BST is being locked up for a minimum of 6 months. When there's a campaign that is trying to achieve KPIs within a time frame of 12 months. Or it could be, if they want to achieve it in 6 months, this lockup period would be only 3 months. So how currently the governance board is kind of setting up all these campaigns to be 6 months lockup for the community, 12 months for delivery of or evaluation of KPIs. Now, if we look at Julia, because I'm having you here, on the blog chat, and with, we have the topic of marketing, and PR and community building. If you look at it from, the Launchpad, from, we discussed a bit from the perspective of marketplace operators, what it gives to them. What do you think are kind of what's the impact on our community when this happens? Like, let's try to compare the Launchpad, times of the Launchpad versus times pre-Launchpad.
Well,
I have my views,
like
but I'd like to hear yours. Yeah.
Before we had the Launchpad, we had almost daily in our Telegram channel people asking or complaining almost that there's not enough tokenized properties they can buy. And they were always asking, when more property? And now at the moment, we're launching a marketplace literally every second week. And all these marketplace operators are getting ready, and some of them already have active offerings. Some of them are working on them. Like, the technology setup is always the first thing. But I wouldn't say that we have so much supply issues anymore as before. I would say because now we have an entire ecosystem they can choose from. So if you ask Blocksquare when next property, then we can basically give you at the moment 12 different marketplace operators where you can choose from, go on their login and see if they have at the moment active property offerings, and or follow their socials and see when they're launching the offerings and so on. So that the ecosystem is growing on a rapid scale at the moment compared to how it was before. That's the biggest difference, I would say. And also commitment towards BST. So each, you first stake basically BST and the governance main pool, but then you restake this BST, and that is quite big. Like restaking is a really nice way how you can boost basically your rewards with the same, but just a little bit of a longer commitment, because normally in the main pools, our minimum staking period is 48 hours, and now we're basically going to 6 months. That's probably the biggest change here. And that probably comes down to, again, our locked BST of the total supply.
And this is kind of APY on top of an APY you're earning in the underlying. So when you're staking BST in the main governance pool, you have a certain APY, a certain rewards that you're earning, and then on the amount that you're restaking, you're getting additional rewards. So there's an incentive that comes out of the rewards pool as opposed to the pockets of marketplace operators, which again is not creating additional costs for marketplace operators. But some operators have chosen. Some projects have chosen to additionally reward the communities, like Portio has created a system where they are awarding, I believe, their community. And you mentioned Fraction X, like the last one that was currently successfully funded, where they have offered, I think, 1,000 BSPT tokens of their first, property that they're going to be tokenizing to whoever pledged to their campaign. And I think this kind of additional bonuses make it really fun for our community. My take when it comes to comparing, I was really working closely with the sales team on the process that they have had in place. Before we were a team of 40 people almost. We were a team of 5-6 people. And at that time, I was doing a lot of things with our head of BD, when it comes to taking in calls. We were kind of, sometimes he was doing the intro call, sometimes I was doing the intro call. The reason for it, I was really wanted to learn the problems, these potential teams who are coming to us to have a white label, to launch a marketplace, what their pain points were. And obviously, everything was great. And one of the, pain points in the market in general at the time was, regulation, a lot of uncertainty. Today, we have way much more certainty. And, what we're working on tomorrow is going to be really, really, solving the whole life cycle of tokenizing real estate. Also from a legal perspective, it's going to be fully clear for a marketplace operator what they need, what they don't need in terms of licensing. But one of the things was cost. Creating your own solution, $500,000 up, a lot in a year time, or maybe even more, hiring, outsourcing or hiring, there's a lot of options. There was the option of working with us, but it was still, a licensing cost. And at the time, at the beginning, we only had a one-time payment option, which was around, which is 40,000 US dollars. Then we introduced the monthly payments, which were, good and made it much easier for people to start working with us. But that was not it yet, because the element of, marketing was not present. And I think with the Launchpad, this marketing element came into play. And I think it's one of the crucial things that people, launching their project see, that marketing support comes with it. What it does to our community, because we were talking about, from the community perspective, I think it does a very important thing: awareness. So our community before had almost no insight on any marketplace operator that we were in talks with, or that then we signed with, or they have started working with us. So there was little to no information around it. Now that bridge has been created through the Launchpad. So projects are directly talking to our community after setting things up or discussing signing agreements with us. And I think that's kind of really important, because it brings this understanding that there's something happening.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's that, but also really, and I think that's something the marketplace, or anyone who is considering basically joining the Launchpad, setting up a marketplace and all of that, has to be aware that operating a marketplace is much more than just using a technology. It's mainly marketing, it's operations, daily operations, it's by finding properties to tokenize, and it's about onboarding the users into your marketplace. It's about good legal advice as well, to set up the right structures in your country where you are based, and so on. So it requires a team, and it requires also a long-term commitment, because a marketplace, once you sold tokens, you can just not shut it down. You have legal agreements and contracts in place with your users. So all of these things have to be considered. So what we're doing is we're giving you Kickstarter solutions to get off the ground, so you can basically use the funds you have as a startup to actually get your legals covered, get your marketing covered, get your operations covered. And don't worry so much about the tech, because your goal is not to become the next big blockchain technology company. Your goal is to actually create a portfolio of tokenized real estate, because that's your expertise. And I think a lot of startups in the space who, then they go like, okay, they're getting so excited, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna create our own blockchain, and on our own blockchain, we're gonna tokenize all these properties, which are, and then they're getting lost in the technology side of things and completely forget about actually the delivery of the product, which is the tokenized real estate. And I think this is the gap we're trying to close here. So you can focus on what your background is as a real estate expert, and as a broker in that space, basically. And that's why we created this solution. But we can only help you to get off the ground a little bit, to do the first baby steps, basically. And then you are in charge to actually, make your marketplace big, like operate it as your own business, and really, get your marketing team on board yourself, and build community wherever you are, in what country you are, or wherever you want to attract the people from. But you can always use our community to reach out to them and try to bring them into your marketplace. So these communication tools are always open for you. The forum will be always there for you. Our social media channels are always there for you. If you want to do Twitter spaces together, or want to come on ours, for example, you're always welcome. Like, we are actually preparing at the moment a marketplace operator space in the next couple of weeks, where we are bringing all our certified partners basically together, or those who actually say, yes, we want to be part of it. So I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion to have with everyone as well. And we're looking forward to it. But these kind of activities, they're ongoing. And you are always invited as our partner to participate in this network. We even have a Discord chat where we connected all marketplace operators from the Launchpad with each other. So these guys actually can do joint marketing campaigns together. They can organize it by themselves. We're not holding their hands and do it for them, but we are giving them the groups and the networks to do it themselves, basically.
And a lot of times, I think when it comes to getting the word out, you need to rely on collaborating. I mean, the Web3 space in general, it's a collaboration. There's been a bunch of smart people that developed Ethereum. Then there was another bunch of smart people that have developed maybe other solutions on top of it that we are leveraging to develop, what we have developed. And if you are able to kind of really tap into this from a technology perspective, you see that there's no real need to reinvent it, right? And there's now the chance for those who are really building the businesses. And it's the rails have been created, and creating the businesses, leveraging those rails makes it even more feasible. Because when it comes to real estate investments, a lot of times I see, I'm comparing marketplaces that have built everything themselves versus marketplaces that collaborate with us. Down the line, somebody needs to pay the developers that are being hired to constantly iterate and develop the technology running it. Those developers are, a big expense in the end. And somebody needs to pay for it. So if it's one company paying for all of it, or if it's 100 companies, who's going to have a better deal in the end when it comes to investing in real estate? I believe the second option, creates much less overhead in terms of technology, which means that you as an investor, you're getting actually the right price. Potentially, it has much more potential for you to get the right price. Versus investing through a company that needs to maintain all this technology. Maybe they built even their own blockchain or L2 solution, and they have even more overhead in terms of development to achieve the same goal in the end, to make it accessible for anyone with the internet connection to invest in real estate. And here I think we really kind of enable our marketplace operators to run effectively and efficiently in terms of costs. And the Launchpad is one of the tools that they can leverage if they want to. We're coming to the end of this block chat. Julia, it was really, really good to have you here in this discussion. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation we had. Are there any last remarks or anything that you would like to point out for our community that maybe, related to the topic we discussed, or maybe, something totally different? Up to you.
I would say the next marketplace pool is in the making, so watch out for the announcement. It's not far away. Get your BST ready, stake it in the governance main pool and be ready so you don't miss out. Who knows what's coming? And then another thing as well I want to mention here quickly is our regional hubs as an update. So those who are not aware, regional hubs is our ambassadors, Blocksquare ambassadors who can form RWA hubs and for the local communities to create communities. So here as well, regional hubs are open for marketplace operators as well. So even this pool and these tools to actually create local events can be used by our certified partners and marketplace operators as well. So we provide so many different tools and risk analysis reports and all kind of different things where we invite you to be part of our ecosystem and network. I think this is what makes Blocksquare really outstanding, also compared to other tokenization service providers out there, is that we have really a wide range of tools that we can offer you to use and to take advantage from.
Thank you, Julia, for these closing remarks. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I hope you enjoyed, and see you on the next block chat. Mm.